Thank you very much, Jens, for your quick overview on the thesaurus. And I think it is absolutely important that we try to speak all the same language. And as of course many of us do not have English as their first language, it adds another complication. At least I can say that for myself. I'm often struggling with understanding terminology which is coming from North America, for example. So it's very important to make progress on that. With that, we actually have concluded all the presentations, and I have a collection of questions in front of me, and I would like to start with two quick questions to Laurent. There was this open question about the right date for the NIAPs, and there was another question which was saying, well, we're talking about the whole energy performance of whole buildings. But what about the energy performance of buildings systems? Is the European Commission also interested in gathering this kind of information, or do you think it's relevant? So the question is for Laurent.
Yep. So just to confirm that for the first National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, they are due by late April 2013. It was apologized because it was wrongly implemented in my slide, not at the right place, but it's next year, end of April. About the technical building systems, of course they are part, and it was also the purpose of my slide, showing that all building components and building elements in the directive, so the one that form part of the envelope, but also the technical building system, have a key role to play in the energy performance of the building as a whole. It was included in my slide because the independent control system is not only for the energy performance certificates, which are likely to include some descriptive information about the technical building system in place in these buildings, but it also applies to the inspection report when a regular inspection scheme has been opted by the member states. Of course, there's an alternative approach that is allowed by the directive, but for which some reporting obligation exists, and this reporting obligation means that we need also information about the existing technical building system, not only some key elements, I would say, boilers, heat pumps, but also the full information about a full system, and insulated pipes or not, and so on. So we are, of course, interested because we want to also have the best policy options in place to see whether competing on trade-off between different technologies, between different approaches of the deep renovation would be needed to be implemented.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laurent. There was a question, and the answer was given privately already to Chris. There was a question about how much the collected fee was for the residential and non-residential energy performance certificates. And Chris answered that it's €25 for residential buildings and €50 for non-residential buildings. I think that's of interest to all participants here in the webinar. I have also a question which went to Peter, and he answered it already privately, but I want to read it out here for everybody. The question to Peter was, have you analyzed why the calculated consumption is 1.5 times higher than the real one? And his answer is, well, the calculation works with 20 degrees Celsius for rooms which are used for residential purposes. But in reality, some people heat rooms less in order to save money in non-efficient buildings. That's the main reason. Peter, does that do justice? Did I summarize that correctly?
Yes, exactly. The calculation methodology works with for most of the rooms with 20 Celsius degrees, and people don't heat some of the rooms. They live in 1 or 2 rooms in the winter which they heat for 20 or 21 degrees, but other rooms can be heated just for 14, 15 degrees. And at some point also, when you do the calculation, you may take the inhabited residential zone also rooms that are not really residential, like corridors or halls, and that could cause also the mistake or the difference in the calculation. So that's why it's really important to check the real consumption and check it against the calculated consumption of the building stock.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Peter. I have a number of questions for Alexandra here in front of me, but before I give the microphone to Alexandra, I just want to highlight again that this webinar is being recorded, and so it will be made available on the Build Up website after this call. You can go back to it, you can recommend it to your colleagues and friends to have a look at it. So the information will be there, of course, for many months and years, I should say. Alexandra, there are a number of questions to you. One question deals with the importance of the geographical location of the data sources. Could you go through the questions? I don't know whether you see them in front of your screen. Maybe we cover one after the other.
I actually just see the last question in the chat log about the collection of the data. I can respond those two, and if something is missing, we can add to it. So I just want to repeat one more time that we started the survey 2013, and it's not yet complete for the full 28 member states. We are now talking to different organizations in the countries that we don't have yet the data, and we are planning to complete. So the overview that we are giving now is what we have managed to collect, what is accessible for us, but it's not exactly responding the question what is available, because maybe there are data existing, but we just don't have an access to it. So please keep in mind that the data that we collect are the data that we are accessing, and every of the data we have collected are now available on the buildingsdata.eu portal. And I'm really recommending to have a look, and if there will be some additional question to it, we are always here to help you to find the way, because the main principle is to gather the data, publish them for you, that you can find the sources and you can find the data. And any recommendation for other countries how to estimate the number of buildings. So we are actually trying to explore how the different methodologies are working in different countries for the data collection. And that's why this webinar is about the examples of data collection, so you can see what are the different methods. We are not yet ready with one paper that would summarize the different methodologies, but it's actually one of the plans for the future to really show the good examples for those countries that are not yet having in place the good system of data collection. I saw only these two questions, Oliver. I don't know if anything
Yes, just one second. I just want to underline basically what Alexandra just said. I mean, BPA is a non-profit organization, and we're sharing everything, all the data which we have and which we come across. But the Data Hub, of course, the portal also shows all the data gaps. Sometimes when you select an indicator and select a country, you will get the answer, information is not available. So we really would like to appeal to all who have data, who own data, to share it in an open way. We're fully aware that data often has a commercial value, and that therefore people or organizations may not be willing to share them for free. We believe that it's necessary to share data for free. In a Wikipedia approach, I think we live in an open data world nowadays, and we really want to provide a platform for all, which is why we're also now linking proactively to all the other data sources, be it from the IEA, be it from Regal, all the different organizations which are there. You can find direct links right on the front page of our own Data Hub, because we believe in collaboration. Having said that, there is another very interesting question to you, Alexandra. We know that all the member states define their useful area of square meters and kilowatt hours in a slightly different way. So the question is there not a risk of misunderstanding the data which we're showing? Is there not a risk of misinterpreting? How are we dealing with that issue?
It's indeed a very good question. So we are in the situation in Europe that we are not starting with defining everything from the beginning, but we are already having in place different methodologies, methods, and definitions that we have to cope with. What we are doing on the Data Hub is like just giving an overview how it looks like in a different member states. We are not trying to give one number that will describe the whole Europe because it's just impossible. And we are trying. There is a special field on the Data Hub for the comments and notes where we are trying to gather all this information that differs between the countries. So we are trying to give the overview how it looks like and not to really choose which country is the best, because it's really hard to compare, and we probably have to use the opportunity that EPCs are now being created, the registers, maybe to work out on some kind of system that we can at least find a way of comparing some indicators in a more harmonized way. So we are not having ambitions to compare. We have ambitions to show the differences and really to show how it looks like in the different countries. I hope it responds to the question. It's really hard to address how to solve it.
Yes, but I think what's important is that we're really annotating our data as much as possible. So it's always also very important to read the small print when you go to the Data Hub. There was another question. I'm seeing additional questions coming in while we speak. There was one question about the situation, the data situation on industrial buildings. So that's commercial buildings, but non-office buildings, really industrial buildings. Are we aware of any useful data source of that, for that?
I think we are aware of the few European projects that are trying to explore the different types of the commercial buildings, and it's probably disaggregated. I cannot give one name of the Data Hub. There are some small good sign that something is being collected, but this is the hardest topic for the European building stock data to cope with, because the data are just not gathered in a systematic way. So if the question, I don't know if we can have a contact, I could get in touch and try to send some more information about the project that we are aware of, but I don't have it in head at this moment.
Yes, okay. I would recommend or suggest in any case to all participants, if you have any questions which we're not addressing right now, please send us an email, and we're trying to get back to you as quickly as possible. And the best email address to use, it's the simplest one, is simply info@bpie.eu. I repeat it, it's info@bpie.eu. But in addition, I would also like to give you the URL for the new data community on BuildUp. Again, it's really a simple one. The BuildUp portal is simply buildup.eu/communities sorry, now I have to find it here. This is the wrong one. But in any case, if you go to communities on the BuildUp data portal, then you will find the community about buildings data. I repeat it again, I found it now. It's buildup.eu/communities/buildings data. So that should be a good source. And it is designed to be an interactive portal, so you can, of course, also pose your questions there. I think we are starting to run out of time. It's 9 minutes past 12 here in Brussels. I see a number of people already leaving, and I don't see any other additional urgent questions coming in. I hope that I have not overlooked anything. Thanks to my team also for providing me the questions. I would like to thank all the speakers for your time and your contribution to this webinar. I would like to thank all the participants for being there and listening to us and asking your questions. As I said before, the webinar will be available as a recording on the BuildUp website. Give us a day or two to upload it, but it should be there fairly soon. So thank you very much. Wherever you are, have a good rest of the day, and please be in touch through the building data community on the BuildUp portal or through email. with BPIE or any of the other speakers. We're happy to connect you also to any of the other speakers if you have any specific follow-up questions. So thanks a lot, everybody, for your time. Bye-bye.